You know my face. Of course you do. You probably scrolled past it 3 times today while you were waiting for your latte or sitting on the toilet. Gia, the face of the new Vora fragrance campaign, the ethereal look for the moment, the girl with the perfectly imperfect features that every casting director in New York suddenly needs. My face is on the side of buses. It pops up in your YouTube ads, and it stares back at you from the magazine rack at the airport. My life, from the outside, it looks like magic. It looks like I just woke up like this. But let me tell you something, it's a performance, and I'm the lead actor, the director, the producer, and the lighting crew. What you don't see is the work. You don't see the 4 a.m. wake-ups for the gym because my cortisol levels are lowest then. You don't see the celery juice I force down while my assistant, a sweet girl named Missy, eats a chocolate croissant right in front of me. The smell of that butter almost makes me cry, but I don't cry because crying makes your eyes puffy. I haven't eaten a real piece of bread in, 5 years? 6? I don't know. I stopped counting because it made me sad. You don't get to be Gia by accident. Perfection isn't a gift. It's a discipline. It's a full-time job. It's my entire existence. Every inch of skin, every strand of hair, it's all calculated. And it was working. I was 26 years old and I was at the absolute dizzying peak of the mountain. The thing is, the worst kept secret in the world is that I wasn't always this. You can find the photos if you really dig deep into the internet archive. Back in high school. Awkward, mousy brown hair, metal braces, that weird chubby phase where my chin hadn't popped yet. My name was Selene then. I wasn't the girl boys wanted. I wasn't even the girl boys saw. I was just there, the background noise, the before picture in someone else's weight loss advertisement. I was completely, utterly forgettable. And that, right there, is the one thing that scares me more than anything. More than spiders, more than dying, more than losing all my money. The thought of being overlooked, of being irrelevant. I spent the last decade clawing my way out of that before picture. I didn't just grow up, I engineered myself. I built this face with dermatologists and contour kits. I built this body with starvation and Pilates. I built Gia from the ground up through sheer, grueling, agonizing discipline. I made myself someone you couldn't ignore. I made myself a goddess so that nobody could ever look through me again. But the industry is a machine. It's a grinder. It eats pretty girls and spits out old news. I'm 26 years old. In the real world, that's young. In model years, that's practically 40. I can already hear the whispers at castings. We want the next Gia. We're looking for someone fresh. Fresh? That word makes me sick. I check my face in my magnifying mirror every morning for 20 minutes. Is that a line? Is my jaw softening? Is the light hitting me differently? I wasn't going to be replaced. I wasn't going to be the before picture ever again. I built this brand. I am this brand. I was at the top, and I decided I was going to stay there forever. So I did something drastic. My manager, Ashani, called it the ultimate act of brand preservation. I called it the ultimate act of self-love, a way to cement my legacy, a way to give the world a second, perfect, immortal version of my beauty. An encore. I decided to clone myself. I went to a clinic in Switzerland called Neolife. It's a place that doesn't officially exist on any map. You have to know a guy who knows a guy, and you have to wire a terrifying amount of money to an offshore account just to get an appointment. The facility was dug into the side of a mountain, all glass and snow and silence. It didn't smell like a hospital. It smelled like expensive ozone and money. The doctors there treated me like a holy relic. They called me the original, the ideal. They told me that my genetic code was a masterpiece and that it deserved to be preserved. They called me the prototype. It fed my ego in a way I can't even describe.
I felt like a queen, ensuring her bloodline would never die. I didn't realize they were going to improve the new model. And I didn't realize that when you're finally done with the prototype, you throw it away. The process took months, but for me, it was just a lot of blood draws and sitting in hyperbaric chambers. Then came the day of the reveal. Neolife called the first big press meeting back in New York. I walked in expecting to be the star. I was the one who'd just done the bravest, most futuristic thing in the history of, ever. My manager, Ashani, was practically vibrating. He was already counting the new endorsement deals in his fingers. "Gia, this is legacy," he kept yelling into limo. "You're not just a face anymore. You're an idea. You're immortal." I believed him. I was an idea, all right, just not the one I thought. The conference room was all white glass and brushed steel, freezing cold. The Neolife executives, in their terrifyingly perfect suits, stood at the front. They unveiled the campaign on a massive screen, a 30-foot-tall poster of me and me. The Selene and Mirror campaign, the main executive said, smiling like he'd just invented a new color. My blood went cold. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly on the floor. "What did you say?" The executive didn't even blink. The Selene and Mirror campaign. It's poetic, don't you think? The original and her perfect reflection. Two things hit me at once, like a physical slap to the face. First, Selene. They were using my real name, my actual name, the name that belonged to the mousy girl with the braces and the bad skin. Gia was the brand. Gia was the one who worked. Selene was the loser girl I'd spent a decade killing. And second, Mirror. They gave her a name, a brand. They weren't calling her Gia 2.0 or Gia's Encore. She was her own thing. And I was just Selene, the original. You know, like the first iPhone, the bulky one nobody uses anymore because the battery dies too fast. I don't like Mirror, I said, my voice sounding small and pathetic in that big room. The executive just laughed, a dry, pitying sound. "Oh, Selene, you're still thinking of her as property. She's not. She's an inspiration, and the press is going to eat it up." The first incident wasn't a monster in the dark. It was that moment, sitting in a bright white room, realizing I'd just been downgraded. I wasn't the star of the show anymore. I was part of a buy one, get one free deal. I looked at the poster again. The girl on the left, me, looked tired. The girl on the right, Mirror, looked cleaner, brighter. I felt a knot of panic tighten in my stomach. I had paid them to make me immortal, and instead, they had just made me obsolete.
The first joint TV appearance was 2 weeks later. It was a big primetime talk show, the kind where careers are either made or buried. I was a total wreck. I hadn't slept in 3 days. I was living on green tea and beta blockers, my hands shaking so bad I couldn't put my own eyeliner on. Ashani told me to get it together. "You look nervous," he snapped, fixing my collar. "She doesn't look nervous. Do you want to look like the weak link?" I walked out to the applause, smiled, waved, did the whole Gia thing. I sat on the couch, crossing my legs at the ankle just like I practiced. The host, Brock, a man I'd known for years, fawned over me initially. "Gia, you look, well, you've outdone yourself." I flipped my hair. "I'm all about innovation, Brock," I said, using my practiced husky laugh. "Well, let's meet the innovation," Brock said, grinning. "Ladies and gentlemen, Mirror." She walked out from backstage. The audience didn't just clap, they gasped. I heard it, a collective, audible gasp. It was the sound of people seeing something holy. It was me. It was my face, my body, my $5,000 dress. They'd given us identical ones, which I'd screamed about for an hour in the dressing room. But it wasn't me. It's hard to explain. You see me, you see the photos, you know I'm beautiful.
But you also know, if you look close, that I'm tired. That my smile is a job. That my eyes are always scanning the room to see who's important. Her eyes, they were bright, clear, unburdened. She looked happy, genuine. She sat down next to me. She was me, but photoshopped, in real life. My perfectly imperfect features, that tiny mole above my lip, hers was just better. The same mole, but somehow more charming. Her smile was my smile, but it wasn't a tool. It was warm. Brock was completely charmed by her. He was leaning towards her, ignoring me completely. He told a joke. I did my little laugh. She laughed, a real deep throaty laugh, the kind I hadn't let myself do in years because it might cause wrinkles around the mouth. Brock laughed with her. "My God," he said, touching her arm, "there really are two of you." And she winked at him. I felt like I was gonna be sick, right there on national television. I'm sitting there, smiling until my jaw ached, and I realize I'm the before picture. She's the after. I looked at her, and she caught my eye. She turned to me, all that warmth gone, just for a second. Her eyes were blank. And she smiled. Not the warm one, the Gia one. The practiced, perfect, dead-eyed smile I did for the Vora campaign. She was showing me she had all my moves, and that she had new ones too.
I became obsessed after that. Ashani told me I was being paranoid. The brand engagement is through the roof, Selene. They love you both. My name is Gia, I seethed, gripping my phone so hard I thought the screen would crack. No, he said, not even looking up. Your name is Selene. Gia was the brand. Selene and Mirror is the new brand. It's a vertical. Try to keep up. A vertical. Like a new line of lipstick. I had to find something. A flaw, a mistake, a crack in the perfect copy. Neolife had put her in a penthouse apartment in my building, 2 floors above mine. For synergy, they said. It was 3 in the morning. I hadn't slept. I needed to see what she was doing. I used the emergency key Neolife had given me for PR opportunities, they'd said. The door opened without a sound. Her apartment was identical to mine. Same white furniture, same sterile, empty vibe. She was in the kitchen. She wasn't sleeping. She was studying. She was standing in front of a full-length mirror, but she wasn't looking at her reflection. She was watching an old recording of me, that sun-kissed morning interview from 2 years ago, the one where I'd cried talking about my journey. It was my big emotional play, the one that made me relatable. I watched from the hallway as she practiced. She watched me on the screen, then she turned to the mirror. Her face crumpled perfectly. A single beautiful tear rolled down her cheek. It was the betrayed but beautiful cry. It was flawless. Then she stopped. Just stopped. Like a switch. The tears, the emotion, gone. She wiped the tear track away with a single precise finger. She'd heard me. She turned, slowly. Her face was blank. Not mean, not nice, just empty, like a doll. "Oh, hi, Selene," she said. Her voice was perfectly level. What are you doing?" I whispered. She looked at me, really looked at me. In my old sweatpants, my messy bun, the panic all over my face, her eyes scanned me. It wasn't human.
It was like a camera, assessing, logging. "You're very insecure," she said. It wasn't an insult. It was just a fact, a piece of data. "Neo-life left me all your memories," she said, taking a small step towards me. I flinched. "All your talents, but they filtered. They took out the noise, the fear." She was right in front of me now. She smelled like my perfume. Vora, but fresher. "It must be so loud in your head," she whispered. She looked almost sorry for me. All that worrying, all that panic about being forgotten, about being replaced. She smiled. The warm one was back, the one that made Brock laugh. "You don't have to worry about that anymore, Selene. I'm here now. You can rest."
I don't really remember getting home. I think I ran. I remember bolting from her apartment, slamming my own door, and just staring. I stared at my own reflection in the black glass wall of my kitchen. I saw my face, the messy bun, the old sweatpants, the sheer naked panic. "She's just a thing," I kept saying, my voice shaking in the empty room. "She's a product. I'm Gia." But I wasn't, was I? I was Selene. And Gia was the brand. And Selene and Mira was the new brand. I was just the old logo that everyone was getting tired of. I knew what I had to do. I was going to burn them all. Neo-life, Ashani, her. Especially her. The Neo-life 5th anniversary gala was in a week. It was the biggest event of the season. They were celebrating 5 years of innovation. They were celebrating her. I spent that week unraveling. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just drank black coffee and watched. I watched every screen, and she was on every screen. She was on The Moment in my dress. She was on the talk shows telling my jokes. She was perfect. The world was falling in love with her. Fine. I'd show them what they were falling in love with. I'd show them the real her. A thing, a doll, and it. I saved all my energy for the gala. I didn't do my makeup. I didn't get my hair done. I walked in wearing a simple black dress, my hair pulled back tight, my face, the one I saw in the mirror at 3 a.m., the raw one. The ballroom was all white light and cold glass. The glare was blinding. Hundreds of people, all the cameras, and she was at the center, on the main stage. She was glowing, literally. She looked like she was lit from the inside, radiating health and success. She was giving a speech, and I just want to thank my original, she was saying. Her voice was like, honey, Selene, for her bravery, for her legacy. That word again. Legacy. It sounded like a tombstone. I started walking toward the stage. People saw me. The whispers started. They weren't whispers of admiration. They were confused. Is that her? She looks terrible. Is she sick? I saw the Neo-life executives by the side of the stage, their faces turning to stone. I got to the steps. She's a liar! I screamed. The room went dead silent. Every camera turned. The flashbulbs popped, blinding me. She's not real. I pointed at her, my hand shaking violently. She's a thing, a product. Neo-life made her in a lab. I expected her to be angry. I expected her to snap. But Mira just looked at me. Not with anger, not with hate, with, oh God, with pity. She walked over to me, her movements all grace, skimming over the floor. She looked like an angel descending to help a beggar. She put her arm around my shoulder. I flinched, but she held on. Her skin was warm, too warm. She took the microphone. She was so calm.
"Thank you all," she said to the silent crowd. Her voice was just heartbreakingly kind. "As you can see, my sister, Selene, she's been under so much pressure." She looked at me. "Selene, it's okay. You can rest." "No!" I shrieked, pulling away from her. "Stop! Don't you see? She's not human. Look at her. She's too perfect. Tell them what you are." I know what I looked like. I caught a glimpse of myself on the giant monitor. I looked insane. My hair was a frizzy mess. My eyes were wild and bloodshot. My collarbone stuck out too much. My voice was hoarse. And Mira, she just stood there. Perfect. Poised. Sad. She turned back to the crowd. A single perfect tear rolled down her cheek. That tear? The one from my sun-kissed morning interview, the one she had practiced in the mirror while I watched from the hallway. The process. It was hard on her. She whispered into the mic, her voice catching perfectly on the last word. She's given so much. She's so tired. She's not well. And that was it. The moment I died, the crowd, they sighed. A collective awe. They weren't looking at a monster. They were looking at me, the ungrateful, jealous, crazy bitch. And they were looking at her, the graceful, kind, beautiful successor who was taking the high road. Security came, not Neolife security, the venues. They were so polite. "Ma'am, Miss Selene, let's go home." The flashbulbs were blinding. I wasn't Gia anymore. I wasn't even Selene. I was a scandal. I was the before picture. I was the messy breakdown that makes the comeback story look even better.
The next morning, the legal notices started. Neolife invoked Clause 22A of my contract, psychological instability. My contract was terminated. All assets seized. My penthouse, her penthouse, was Neolife property. Ashani's office released a statement. I read it on my phone while sitting on the floor of my hallway. "We are deeply saddened by Selene's public breakdown, and we are ensuring she gets the help she needs. In the meantime, her exclusive brand partner, Mirror, will be taking over all campaign ditties. We wish Selene a full recovery." They retired me. Just like that. I was a faulty product pulled from the shelves. That was 6 months ago. I live in a studio apartment now. It's in Queens. The faucet trips and the neighbors argue all night. I had to sell everything. The bags, the shoes, the jewelry. I don't go out. But I see her. I see her everywhere. She's on the buses that drive past my window. She's on the 30-foot-tall billboards in Times Square. She's on my phone every time I open Instagram. She's Gia. She just did the Moment cover, the ethereal look. They say it's her best work yet. The headline reads, "Gia, better than ever." I have a small, cheap TV. I watch it sometimes. I see her laughing on talk shows, telling my stories about my childhood, only funnier, warmer. She tells stories about the braces and the mousy hair, and the audience eats it up because she makes it sound charming, not desperate. The world didn't just replace me, they upgraded me, and they didn't even notice. They're all looking right at her, thinking she's the real thing. Or maybe they know she isn't, and they just don't care. She's better content. My whole life, I was terrified of being that mousy, forgettable girl in the before picture. It was the one thing I couldn't stand, being overlooked.
being irrelevant. I guess the joke's on me. I look in the mirror now. This cheap, cracked bathroom mirror with the toothpaste stains. And I see my face. My real face. Tired, lined, flawed. I finally got what I wanted. I'm not the prototype anymore. I'm not even the before picture. I'm just gone. I'm the deleted file. And she's out there, living my life, wearing my face, and doing it all so much better than I ever could.
Did that story make your skin crawl? That's just a taste of what's lurking. Show your support by liking and subscribing. We're all in this together to survive the next spine-chilling story.